Hi, I'm Luigi Di Martino. I've recently completed my PhD at the Institute for Culture and Society at Western Sydney University. My research interests include public diplomacy, social media engagement, and digital methods. My recent works have focused on theories and practices of social media listening in public diplomacy and the assessment of social media engagement in international communication. I teach social research methods, digital methods, and social media engagement at Western Sydney University and the University of New South Wales. Today, I will introduce some of the key stages involved on social media analysis. In particular, I will explore some of the possibilities and limitations of social media data analytics. The rise of social media platforms and the constant growth of computational capacity are producing increasingly large datasets. Social media big data is particularly interesting for social researchers because it is generated by social media users, by humans interacting with machines and with each other. In particular, social media data makes it possible for information from internet users to be easily accessed for use in a wide range of areas. Such information would otherwise be difficult to gather due to high investment in time and money required to gain such insights. Traditional through costly research instruments such as questionnaire and census. Social media analytics provide the possibilities of tracking the evolution of online engagement and discussion over time, as opposed to a single snapshot produced using a survey, for example. Done right, the analysis of social media data can provide valuable insights upon which communication strategies and policy implementation can be developed. Public opinion and sentiment can be also analyzed and assessed using this type of data. So what kind of question can social media analysis help us answer? There are two main type of questions that we can answer with social media analytics. Questions relating to social media use itself, for example, how people discuss issues relating to personal health on Facebook or social media usage patterns. And then there are questions that inform our understanding of social phenomena in a broad sense. For example, involvement in social media, in social movements, or political participation and consuming behavior can be examined through the analysis of social media data. When we conduct social media research, we usually follow this sequence that you can see in the slides, which is composed by 6 main stages. We firstly come up with the research question, as this is typical of social research, and then we decide which platform is more relevant for answering the research question and the keywords or hashtags or the pages or users that are relevant for our research questions. Then we got stage 3, 4, and 5, which is data extraction, data processing, and data visualization. These stages can be conducted at once if we use user-friendly tools or easy-to-use tools. But if you're familiar, for example, with programming language, you could also perform these 3 stages as different component of your research sequence, because more advanced tools allow more sophisticated manipulation of data and more sophisticated analysis. At the end of this process, whether you use easy-to-use tools or more advanced tools, you will come up, with a data visualization that show some social media metrics, and I will talk about which kind of social media metrics you can see later on in the presentation. And after we got this visualization, we conduct our analysis. So we try to answer our research question based on what our social media analysis has produced. So what kind of data can be extracted from social media, or how do we extract data from social media? We can base our extraction on three main approach. We could base our collection on user accounts, topics and keywords, and metadata. This stage is particularly important because it involves what we call freezing the flow of the endless stream of social media data, in producing a bounded data set that becomes unalterable once it has been extracted. Therefore, the data analyst needs to make some important choices and predict the most suitable way to capture the data according to the research topic before starting the data collection. Specifically, the data analyst has to select one or more social media profile or a particular hashtag or keywords to base their selection on. So the selection of what to capture can be based on accounts. In this case, we could focus on a particular user, like for example, a public figure or a group of users, such as a candidate that is running, who is running for an election, or group of candidates. We could base our selection on topics or keywords. This is a very frequent approach, which is based on collecting social media content that is related to topics, for example, a specific event like election or sports event, or general topics that are being discussed by a group of people. Think about hashtags like the Me Too, which is kind of capture all the conversation around the Me Too movement. But we could also base our selection on metadata. So we could select, for example, social media content that is coming from a particular, has been published in a particular location, or in a particular time frame, or in a particular language or format. For example, social media posts that contain a retweet, that is a retweet, or a URL, or for example, an image or a video. The availability of one type of collection approach or the other really depends on the social media platform and the way social media platform also shape their access through data policies. There are many collection tools available. Some of them, as I anticipated, require our application that can be easily used, a user-friendly application. Other tools require programming knowledge. You can find a list of data collection tools in this website that you can see in the slide. There are also certain kind of metrics that can be analyzed on social media. The most popular one are metrics that are based on user visibility. For example, number of followers, number of friends, or number of likes or mentions that a user receives. And other metrics are based on content. For example, hashtags, the frequency of an hashtag, post, frequency of a post, frequency of URLs, language, etc. And then location, and we also can measure connection by visualizing them as networks. So this that I'm showing now is an example of data visualization that we can produce conducting social media analysis, and in particular, this visualization is from one of my research projects that was focused on the discussion, the Twitter discussion around the G20 2014 in Australia. And this visualization visualized the most frequent hashtags during the G20. You can see G20 Brisbane was the most popular one. House poll, which is the hashtag that is used for on Twitter now for talking about domestic politics, was another frequent hashtag. And then the other hashtag that kind of signal which were the topic, the most popular topic. We can see one hashtag about climate change, which kind of signal that climate change was one of the big issues in the conversation on Twitter. Another example of visualization that comes from the same research is location. So we could also now visualize the tweets and the places where the tweets have been published in order to see also whether our conversation is taking place in a particular part of the world or in a particular location. We could also visualize the most visible users or the most popular users. For example, in the same research project about the G20, I created this visualization that showed the most mentioned users, and as it was predictable, the world leaders participating at the G20 were the most mentioned accounts. You can see, for example, in this image, the account of Tony Abbott, who was the prime minister at the time, or Barack Obama, who was the president of the United States in 2000 during that meeting in 2014. So big data now do provide a lot of possibility in terms of how we can study and visualize complex and big conversation online. Big data analysis has been made possible because we are digitally collecting and storing information in a quantity never seen before. However, Crawford warns against corporation and experts fostering a mythology that big data analysis is superior to other forms of knowing. There are both utopian and dystopian rhetoric about big data, which relates to the mythological aspects of this new phenomenon. The current debate about big data is characterized by two perspectives. The first one argues that data can speak for itself, free of theory, which is a sort of new empiricism or data-driven approach. While the second one argues the application of traditional methods in combination with computation in order to make new inquiries. The first approach provocatively declares the end of theory. In a well-cited piece, technology entrepreneur Chris Anderson claims that big data allows us to say correlation is enough. We can analyze the data without hypotheses about what it might show. Following this kind of approach, anyone who can decode a statistic is able to interpret reality. These assumptions, however, are problematic for three reasons. Firstly, big data is attractive because it appears to be exhaustive and objective. But big data is actually shaped by the methods by which the data is captured and the tools employed. Secondly, despite the claim that we can abandon theory, the algorithms driving software and platforms are designed by humans to ask specific questions automatically. Such questions are never value-free, since they always entail prior categorization. Thirdly, to assert that big data can be interpreted without context and substantive knowledge risks reductionism, ignoring the effects of culture, politics, policy, governance, and capital. Despite this critique, this approach has gained popularity in business circles, providing a cost-effective and rapid way of conducting large-scale marketing research. The major concerns that arise from this debate focus on social media data. Within this debate, particularly relevant for us are the issues of representativeness and interactivity in social media platforms. Indeed, social media data do not represent the whole population, but rather a group of users with the characteristics that vary from one platform to another. Moreover, the data formats, hashtags, likes, and the matrix that we measure in social media analytics limit the range of possible inquiries, such that the data scientist does not have the full control of the data structure. Therefore, the characteristics of the platform shape the forms and the modality of interaction. As social media, big data is increasingly used in marketing, public relations, political communication, and by governments in order to monitor and listen to publics, it is particularly important that social researchers get familiar with these tools. This can provide opportunities for critiquing data-driven methods, but also to develop new ones that can take advantage of social media big data by combining social media metrics with traditional methods such as content analysis and digital ethnography.